We're on YouTube. This is cool. Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review, and this movie review is going to be for a 1996 animated film based on a adult animated television series, and this is another series from MTV, and because Jackass was not their only famous TV series, there was another one in the 90s that was entirely animated about two idiot teenagers who get into shenanigans, get into trouble all around town, because they want to score with women, and always failing. And, that film is going to be for 1996's Beavis and Butthead Do America. So what's the plot of this? Well, our interpret Elson heroes wake up to find their beloved television stolen, and embark on an epic journey across America to recover it. And who knows, maybe even score. On the way, they encounter a murderous smuggler of a deadly virus and his treacherous wife, an FBI agent with an obsession for cavity searches, a couple of rather familiar-looking ex-Motley Crew roadies, Mr. Van Dressen singing Lesbian Seagull, a little old lady, and of course Mr. Anderson and his trailer. Can the great Cornholio save the day? The development for the film began in 1993 as part of a production deal. Anyway, how was this movie made? Well, how it all started was, development for the film began in 1993 as part of a production deal with MTV. David Geffen and Warner Bros. Geffen so believed in the potential of the Beavis and Butthead TV series that he suggested create a movie and record album based on the program. Originally conceived as a live-action movie, with Saturday Night Live regulars David Spade and Adam Sandler in mind to play the characters. After MTV's parent company Viacom purchased Paramount Pictures in 1994, the studio became a partner in the film, replacing Warner's interest in the project and dropping the live-action concept and the pressure from Beavis and Butthead creator Mike Judge. Judge stated that production of the animated film was very ad hoc and had some difficulties with progressing due to most of the staff's television background. The animation of the film provided by Rough Draft Studios facilities in South Korea. The hallucination sequences design and animation was based on the works of Rob Zombie. The sequences director was Chris Pryanovsky. Previous offers by MTV to adopt Beavis and Butthead the film were rejected by Judge, before he eventually agreed to the film in 1984. As production had begun, the series' staff halted production while Judge wrote the screenplay with Joel Stillman. John Frizzle composed the film's score. So after the movie was made and marketed, Beavis and Butthead Do America would premiere at Mann's Chinese Theater on December 15th, 1996, and was released in the United States on December 20th, 1996 by Paramount Pictures, around the same time as Scream. The film later aired on MTV in 1999, and then aired on VH1 in 2003, and when it comes to critical and financial reasons, the film was a critical and commercial success. It grossed $63.1 million in the United States and became the largest December box office opening at the time, but before Scream 2 surpassed it the following year, among several other movies. A sequel, Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, was released just recently this summer on Paramount Plus in 2022. I did watch that movie. You'll find out my thoughts another time. As for my reaction to Do America, I gotta say, this has to be one of my favorite animated films in the 90s and one of my favorite films from MTV. Like, there are two kinds of people in the world. Those who find Beavis and Butthead hilarious and those who find them unbearable. I'm kind of in the former category that found them hilarious and surprised by how funny I still found this film rewatching it. I remember first discovering these guys in 2011, around my middle school years, specifically clips of the music they watched, music videos they watched, and comment on, and even their debut short Frog Baseball, Frog Baseball! Then in my high school time, I found out there was a movie about the idiotic duo going all around America and destroying it with their stupidity and gags about trying to score and failing to do so like every time. Now, so for this one, animated MTV characters Beavis and Butthead made their feature film debut with this very funny movie that actually does a good job at sustaining itself for 81 minutes, with a pretty good story and plenty of the kind of humor that us Beavis and Butthead fans love so much. It's gleefully lowbrow stuff, and that's just the way we like it. Our favorite egotistical horn dog teenagers wake to discover the most important item in their lives, their TV set, is gone, and that search leads them to a shady character named Muddy, who's voiced by Bruce Willis, who offers them $10,000 to do his wife, Dallas, as in murder, who's voiced by Demi Moore. It's an interesting fact, guys, around the time this movie came out, Bruce Willis and Demi Moore were actually a married couple, and around the time of this movie, they're not anymore, but they used to be. And Beavis and Butthead rarely accept that they're misrepresenting the word do for sex when Muddy really means do, as in murder. They become embroiled in an elaborate plot to steal a powerful biological weapon while following the quintessential Beavis and Butthead agenda, trying to score. Like, most of these guys' antics in the TV show, like, they're still like the typical TV show antics where they're making life miserable for their cranky old neighbor Tom Anderson, who, like, they are basically known for whacking in his tool shed, and they cause havoc at places like the Hoover Dam, the appearance of the legendary Corleone,
Alright, hold on. I'm Corleone. Are you threatening me? I need TP for my butthole.
encountering two very familiar-looking Motley Crue roadies, hallucinating in the desert, and having some eventful plane and bus rides. Like, it's just so priceless that B&B, upon seeing that they'll be on a bus full of nuns, they can't see past the fact that their fellow passengers are chicks. Get it? Because they're nuns. And then there's this other funny scene where they stop at this church. Beavis and Butthead use the confession booths. One guy's confessing, like, and I get what, like, Butthead says, but they apparently screwed up, and, like, as soon as they leave a church, it gets straight up electrocuted by lightning as soon as they exit the church. It's just funny. Like, the other colorful cast of characters also include Agent Fleming, voiced by Robert Stack, the agent who's obsessed with cavity searches. Late actress Cloris Leachman plays the aged slack on the plane and bus, and Eric Bogansing, Richard Linklater, and David Letterman round out the various pop culture figures supplying voices. And everything is set to a kick-ass soundtrack that begins with a Shaft-style number co-written by late musician Isaac Hayes, who voiced Chef in South Park, and B&B creator Mike Judge. Other artists heard include the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who sing Hot Roller Coaster Love, White Zombie. Like, Rob Zombie actually supplied the artwork for the hallucination sequence. AC/DC, Rancid, LL Cool J, Ozzy Osbourne, and Bottle Surfers. And that's the thing, though, and despite being an animated film adaptation of a more adult animated series, the humor is not as racy as people would expect. It maintains its PG-13 rating and uses it neutrally. It comes off as kind of one of its flaws, sadly. Like, it kind of wished, like, this movie tried to be a little more edgy. Like, South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut was, like, way more edgy. Like, and South Park Bigger, Longer, Cut went way more edgy than the whole South Park show combined. And, well, at the time was, like, the whole show, the whole new season episodes are now way more edgy than any of the older stuff. But that was that movie's beginning to get into even more edgier material. With Beavis and Butthead Do America, it does the same thing it would have done if it were a TV movie. Like, even the Simpsons movie kind of goes a bit further, or this one kind of just still plays it safe, and kind of wish they didn't try to play it safe, and try to go like some of the more controversial shorts. Still, it's worth it for the pleasure of seeing one of the greatest animated duos on the big screen doing what they do best. Usually nothing. Like, the best thing about the teens is that they get in trouble without even trying to get in trouble. They're a victim of bad timing, but they avoid every possible consequence. The FBI agent even orders roadblocks when they're in the middle of the desert, They order the Dream America bus to stop, and then the two accidentally get on the nuns bus, and like after the whole church thing, they're looking at this like wood display. They're just laughing about it about the idea of it saying artificial wood, and the nuns just straight up ditch them because they clearly cannot stand them anymore. So yeah, and another one of my favorite scenes in this film is that when their pieced out teacher tries to tell them from the bot that having no television actually opens a window of opportunity, and he claims people need to realize that we don't need TV to entertain us. And all Beavis and Butthead, because they're so stupid, they pick up as entertain us. It's like they do plenty of other stupid things, like when they arrive in Las Vegas, they're obviously not playing the slot machines because, well, they don't have money because of how lazy and really stupid they are. But they're basically just looking at the statue with boobs, and they try to grab the statue's boobs, and they're just basically acting all stupid on the dance floor. Then they kind of almost get kicked out for a little bit. And then when they're on the bus, they're like driving past certain signs, they're laughing at the signs' funny names. And there's even a funny scene where Butthead tries to take a picture of the elderly Dream America passengers, and he gets it wrong and ends up accidentally screwing the photo because he can't hold the camera straight. And then they're at the Grand Canyon, and while the rest of the passengers are seeing the side of the Grand Canyon, all Beavis and Butthead are doing just staring at the donkey pooping, and Butthead's like, it's like it's coming out of its ass, but it's also coming out of the ass of the ass. Then you also have Mike Judge's animation style. Mike Judge's animation style is also brilliant, avoiding bright primary colors used in shows such as The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Futurama. He uses mainly softer colors for the show, pencil effects, scenery, and watercolor backgrounds. It's sort of calming, easygoing animation style, which he's totally made his own. Mike Judge even managed to fill out the 75 or so minutes well without making it drag. And he does it well with style. Since he cannot change the simplistic, constantly sniggering leads, he has done the most logical thing he could do by surrounding them with a plethora of multi-facelit characters tied together with a conspiracy plot that takes them into other locations where their simple but effective double entendre humor can flourish. Like previous characters make a return, like Tom Anderson and his wife, and he gives the development were relevant to the plot. The biggest departure from the TV show, though, is the sheer length of the story. The show segments were typically less than 10 minutes long, which meant that a little went a long way. Mike Judge does a pretty good job at keeping the extended story interesting, but it does drag just a little bit, particularly during a couple of unnecessary musical interludes. And the thing I don't really like, another thing I'm not too crazy about, is the use of celebrities in some of the main roles, instead of veteran voice actors, but that is to be expected for a TV show film adaptation. Bruce Willis and Demi Moore, I do like their work, but they're kind of average in this, and their recognizable voices kind of serve as a distraction. Plus, their characters are supposedly the villains, but they don't really do much to be considered antagonists, other than just what I mentioned about them. They don't really appear much. Mike Judge even does a fine job in multiple roles. And Cloris Leachman actually is pretty memorable as that old lady Beavis and Butthead always encounter throughout the movie. First on the plane, and then on the Dream America bus. And another thing I don't really like is the running gag of Tom Anderson and his wife having their long-planned trip ruined by the duo's antics. Here's how this whole running gag goes. To start it off, their TV in the camper they have gets wrecked by Beavis when he spits out warm Coke on it because they try to watch his TV because theirs is stolen. And then they let out the Hoover Dam water because they think the remotes are a remote to all the TVs, to the channels, and even though they're actually security footage. And then the water gets let out, it washes the couple away. And then they get roadblocked and cavity searched by Fleming, which is also kind of a bad quality. The cavity search gag is really old quick. I think the only time they even should have did this whole cavity search thing was with Butthead. Because with Butthead, it's actually pretty funny because after his cavity search gets finished, he's like, I just score. And then once Tom and his wife get to Washington, they get kicked out of the memorial when they try to visit because since Beavis and Butthead are fugitives in this movie, they have to evacuate everyone. And finally, once the unit is discovered in Beavis's pants because he went to whack in Tom's camper, and Tom tries to throw his pants back at Beavis when he's in Corleone form. Around that time, Tom pretty much gets set up as the one in charge of the unit crime when he throws out Beavis's pants. And then he gets arrested while his wife gets a second cavity search. Yeah. It's not a very funny running gag if you ask me. Like, I kind of wish, like, they just tried to leave Tom Anderson out of the film, and or just only have, like, those little shenanigans that end up somewhat ruining a strip. Like, only just like the TV and the Hoover Dam one, and then the Washington one was fine, would have been fine enough. We didn't need to have a whole bunch of, like, punching bag scenarios for Tom. But back to the good qualities. The humor in Beavis and Butthead Do America is all in its delivery. Led in lesser hands, most of these jokes would come across as cheap and fruitless. There's nothing curiously bizarre about our two protagonists, which made the TV series so hilariously compelling. They don't really tell jokes, nor do they provide us with lovable characters to balance a satire like such adult animation as The Simpsons or South Park. Like, what B&B Do America have an abundance of attitude. These are two men so stupid and self-absorbed that when Butthead is confronted by up-team armed guards attempting to arrest them, all he sees are the guns. Wow, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. The world passes them by without them even noticing. Like, in a way, it's a classic example of a generation defined by feather-brained shallowness. The highlight of a B&B week would be seeing the video The Black Hole Sun when their TV is stolen, their world falls apart. It takes them quite a few seconds to realize what exactly is wrong with their situation, despite footprints in a broken window. Anyone who's watched this TV show knows the basic concept here, and the movie sticks to it faithfully. Beavis and Butthead are the ultimate characters to the MTV generation. A pair of oversexed, uneducated, underachieving losers with absolutely zero redeeming qualities. It's not much of a stretch to call this movie a cartoon version of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's as much as about two utter buffoons who wreck everything in sight and make utter asses of themselves, all for the audience's amusement. It actually includes a scene where Beavis even starts hallucinating after eating some psychedelic plants. At first he freaks out, and then he starts grinning when he realizes it's just like watching a rock video. And this last was actually pretty gutsy, given Hollywood's fears of being perceived as in glamorizing drug use, and especially so since it involved a high school kid. Like, so in the end, Beavis and Butthead Do America is really just an extended version of the hit TV show. With the exception of the drug scene, the creators don't really push the envelope the way the South Park movie did, at least in terms of swearing, but the only part that true fans will miss is that since the whole movie is kicked off and the boys realize their precious TV has been stolen, we never get to see them doing their trademark on ripping on bad rock videos. So my recommendation, if you love MTV and love Beavis and Butthead, then I would easily give this movie a watch because it is very funny and a perfect addition to the series. Anyway, that's it for my review of Beavis and Butthead Do America, and if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Beavis and Butthead Do America, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you are a Beavis and Butthead fan and want to see the duo in their first movie screwing up the world, then I would easily give this a watch and then buy it, add to your collection for sure. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Beavis and Butthead Do America, I'm going to give Beavis and Butthead Do America an 8 out of 10. And there we go. That pretty much wraps up my review for Beavis and Butthead Do America. And we're approaching the starting week for Halloween Horror Movie Reviews 3. Getting there. So, it's only like 3 days away. I mean, I got 2 more other theatrical release films to review. And then I'm going to get started on Halloween Horror Movie Reviews, while also reviewing Netflix's The Munsters, which is probably going to be fun. It's probably going to have some really terrible reactions, because we all know who it's directed by. But yeah, till then guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. And if you like this and want to see more, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Don G. Corleone.